Do you host guests on your podcast? Then this is the video for you. Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Caroline, and I am a podcast editor and producer and overall lover of podcasts. Today, we're going to talk about how to be a great guest host. Great guest host, yeah. How to be a great guest host for your podcast. So when we started our podcast, we knew that we wanted to have guests on, but we also knew that we wanted to kind of get some ducks in a row, if you will, before we had a guest on. So I'm just going to kind of run you through some of the things that have really worked with us and helped us to be really great guest hosts. Number 1, use a scheduler. Oh my gosh, use a scheduler, especially if you're like us and you're trying to coordinate so many people's schedules. We have a scheduler. We use Setmore right now, but I also think Calendly is a really great one, or there's Acuity Scheduling. You can also use that one. And so what we'll do is we'll go in there and we'll put our schedules in when we're available, when we're not available, and then we send that link to guests to schedule their interview. It's amazing. One other thing that we've done to really help with our scheduling is we set a certain day and time each month that we record podcast. So right now we are only doing Fridays twice a month with guests. And so literally we just email them those dates and times and they have to pick from those if they want to be on our podcast. And it's actually worked out really great. And it's really helped lower the stress level because there was definitely a week where we were interviewing 3 guests on 3 different days and it was not good. Number 2, create recording instructions and send them to your guests. So we have a PDF that just details everything that we want our guests to do to make the podcast recording successful, because they want it to sound good too, right? Because they're on it. It's promoting them. It's a way for them to put themselves out there in the world. So they want to make sure that they sound really good as well. So what's on this PDF? Well, for us, we use a Zencastr. So we make sure to tell them that they need to have Google Chrome. We ask that they use headphones with a microphone, or if they have a microphone, to please use it as well as headphones, because we don't want the bleed from the other audio coming through. And then we also remind them to drink some water, eat lunch, all those things. And then we also send them some questions. So all of that goes in an email to our guests 24 to 48 hours before their interview. And it has really cut down on us having to problem solve or educate them, right when we get on the call. Instead, they come prepared. And if they don't come prepared, and we can say, well, we sent you a PDF, right? Number 3, make them feel comfortable. Don't just dive into it the minute they get on. Say hi, introduce yourselves, ask them how their day is going. It can be kind of nerve-wracking to come onto somebody's podcast, especially if you've never met them before or talked to them before. I mean, I've definitely done that before, and you feel kind of not yourself right at the beginning. And so try and loosen things up, make them comfortable. And part of making them comfortable is making them comfortable with the tech. And so that kind of goes back to the recording instructions as well. Number 4, follow up your interview with a thank you. You can just send them an email that says, thank you so much for coming on. Or you can even send them a handwritten note. For a while, we did little gifties to our podcast guests, which was really sweet and awesome. And they always loved it. To tell them thank you for taking the time out to come on our podcast. Also, be sure that you follow up with them later when the episode goes live. Make sure they have links and ways to share it, because they're going to be your best cheerleader for that episode. So you really want to make sure that you say thank you and that you follow up. Now remember, it's totally awesome that these people are coming onto your podcast, right? You're not having to pay them. You should never pay a guest. But also that, they're coming to share their wisdom and knowledge with your audience. And so, just go out of your way to be kind and wonderful. And then they're just going to want to shout about your podcast from the rooftops. And if you have a guest who's coming onto your show, it's their first time and they're super nervous, you can go to my website where you can find my podcast interview boost, which is a little short email series that just kind of helps boost some confidence and answer some common questions about being interviewed on a podcast for the first time. Thank you guys so much. Go out there and host amazing guests on your podcast. And one final encouragement before I go. Don't be afraid to reach for the stars with those guests. You know, there are guests that we wanted to have on the podcast that we never thought would come on the podcast. And when we sent them their email, they said yes. So don't be afraid. Go out there, get your guest, treat them right. Have a great day.